Welcome to the galaxy of mystery, where survival is only the beginning. In today's adventure, we journey to the desolate world of Alpha 97, where Captain Alara Ward and her unexpected ally, Quax, a being from another world, are stranded after a catastrophic crash. With nothing but their wits, determination, and a strange alien bond, they must navigate this hostile planet facing deadly storms, wild creatures, and the looming question of whether they will ever be rescued. As their struggle continues, a bond grows between them that transcends species, and a discovery of ancient technology gives them hope of escape, and more. Will they make it off the planet? Can love truly flourish in the face of such adversity? Stay tuned, and let's unravel the mystery of survival, discovery, and unexpected connections in this thrilling sci-fi adventure. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more sci-fi thrillers and alien adventures. The dawn breaks over Alpha 97, but the sky remains a haunting shade of indigo, thick with swirling clouds that obscure the light. The planet is silent, its barren landscape stretching out like an endless ocean of jagged rocks and sparse, twisted vegetation. Alara stands at the edge of their shelter, her eyes scanning the horizon, a sense of urgency growing within her. The day's goal is clear: they must find water and food. Alara sets out first, her boots crunching against the sharp stones, the cold air biting at her exposed skin. The wind cuts across the planet's surface like a blade, sharp and relentless. She shields her eyes against the swirling dust, focusing on the terrain ahead, determined to find anything that will help them survive. Her steps are quick, driven by the gnawing emptiness in her stomach and the desperate need for sustenance. After what feels like an eternity of walking across the desolate terrain, her heart skips a beat as something catches her eye. A glint of silver among the rock's water. She rushes forward, her breath quickening as she approaches the small, meandering stream, the sound of trickling water a welcome melody in the otherwise oppressive silence. The water is clear, though it runs slowly, winding its way through the cracks in the earth. Alara crouches by the stream, dipping her hands into the cool liquid. The sensation is a strange comfort, the water refreshing despite the strange, alien landscape around her. She fills her canteen, taking small, careful sips, aware of how precious this resource is. As she stands, a thrill of excitement runs through her. This is the breakthrough they need. She activates her communicator, her voice filled with eagerness as she speaks to Quax. Alara, excited Quax, I've found water. There's a stream just north of here. I'll mark the coordinates. We can't waste any time. Quax, his voice calm, over the communicator. I'll continue my search. Stay safe, Alara. I'll be in touch if I find anything. The line clicks off, and Alara feels a rush of relief, knowing that at least one problem has been solved, if only temporarily. She takes a deep breath, the cool air filling her lungs, and begins to head back to their shelter, her pace slower now, filled with a growing sense of hope. Quax, meanwhile, is far from the safety of their shelter, his keen eyes scanning the rocky expanse. His steps are deliberate, methodical, as he moves across the harsh landscape. The alien flora on Alpha 97 is sparse, and what little vegetation there is seems twisted, alien, and unfriendly. The plants are strange to him, nothing like the lush greenery of his home planet, Dren. Some seem to shimmer faintly in the dim light, while others have sharp, barbed leaves that catch on his clothing as he passes. He stops every few steps to inspect a plant, his eyes narrowing as he runs his fingers over the leaves. He pauses, then pulls back. These plants are not edible. He repeats this process for hours, his frustration growing with each failed attempt. It's a strange feeling for him, a sensation he's not accustomed to. On Dren, he had always been surrounded by abundance. Here, on Alpha 97, everything feels like it's withholding its secrets. As the hours stretch on, his hunger gnaws at him, and the weight of isolation presses in. His thoughts turn briefly to Alara, wondering if she has had more luck. But he continues his search, knowing that survival means not giving up. After hours of searching, Alara and Quax finally meet again at the crash site. The wreckage of the Odyssey looms behind them, a reminder of their helplessness in the face of this unforgiving world. They are both tired. Alara's feet sore from walking, Quax's body tense with the stress of the endless search, but the sight of each other brings a quiet sense of relief. Alara speaks first, her voice quieter than before. The thrill of finding water has worn off, replaced by the fatigue and uncertainty of their situation. She sets down her canteen and looks at Quax, her expression thoughtful. Alara, reflecting, it's strange, you know. I never thought I'd find any sort of connection in a place like this. On Earth, we're constantly fighting, constantly surviving. I thought that would be enough. She pauses, looking out over the barren landscape, her words trailing off as she searches for the right ones. Quax, his voice soft, measured. Perhaps survival brings us closer than we realize. It strips away everything that doesn't matter. Here, there is only what we need to live. And in that simplicity, we find something pure. Something real. Alara turns toward him, her eyes meeting his. For the first time since their crash, she feels the weight of his words sink into her. She had thought she was alone in this, but as they stand there together, amidst the wreckage of their world, something shifts. She doesn't know exactly what it is, but she feels it, a sense of understanding, of partnership. Quax, in his quiet, reserved way, has become a lifeline. And in this alien world, as strange as it is, he is the only one she can rely on. Alara, her voice softer, I don't know if we can survive this, but I think we have a better chance now. Together. Quax, nodding, his golden eyes fixed on her, we will. We must. We will find a way. The words hang in the air between them, the bond they are beginning to share becoming something more than mere survival. It's a connection that neither could have predicted, forged not just by the need for sustenance but by the shared struggle they face on this alien planet. In the midst of the vast unknown, Alara and Quax realize that they are no longer just two survivors. They are partners, dependent on each other in a way that transcends the physical world around them. In their growing understanding of each other, the alien planet seems a little less lonely, a little less dangerous. The days on Alpha 97 have bled into weeks, each one marked by the relentless struggles of survival. Alara and Quax have settled into a rhythm, their initial tension slowly dissolving into something deeper. The wild winds of the planet have become a constant companion, howling across the rocky plains, while sudden, violent storms seem to descend without warning, blanketing the land in sheets of rain or blinding dust. Yet, despite the relentless nature of their surroundings, There's an unspoken bond that grows between them, forged in the fires of adversity. One evening, as they sit by the flickering fire in their shelter, the air thick with the scent of damp earth and smoke, Alara glances at Quax. His usually calm expression is softened by the warmth of the fire, his golden eyes reflecting the flickering light. They had been through so much together, storms that rattled their bones, encounters with strange, hostile creatures that prowl the barren land, and the constant struggle to find food and water. But now, as the night grows quiet and the distant howls of Alpha 97's wildlife echo in the distance, there is peace between them, a quiet, shared understanding. Alara, softly, almost as if testing the words, I think. I'm starting to fall for you, Quax. The words hang in the air between them, almost too intimate for the desolate world they inhabit. Quax looks up, his golden eyes locking with hers. The firelight dances across his features, and for a moment, the world outside their shelter fades away. Quax, his voice gentle, a warmth in his tone. I feel the same way, Alara. You have touched my heart in ways I never thought possible. A quiet silence follows, but this time, it is comfortable. They no longer need to fill the space with words. They have learned to communicate through glances, through the simple act of being near each other. They are no longer just two individuals stranded on an alien world. They are partners, bound by their shared struggle, their shared journey. In that moment, Alara feels the weight of her feelings for Quax. It's not just his calm demeanor or the way he always seems to know what to do, even in the direst circumstances. It's the way he's become her anchor, her strength, when everything around them is falling apart. The realization is quiet, almost a whisper in her mind. She's not just surviving anymore, she's living. And Quax is the reason why. The night is still. The only sounds the soft crackling of the fire and the occasional gust of wind outside. The warmth of their shared fire contrasts with the cold that seeps into the shelter. Alara sits closer to Quax, her body heat mingling with his. As she gazes at him, her heart feels fuller than it ever has. But just as she starts to speak, a wave of dizziness washes over her. She blinks, trying to focus, but the feeling grows stronger, an unexpected, unsettling sensation in the pit of her stomach. She rises quickly, a wave of nausea suddenly overwhelming her. Her breath quickens as she stumbles toward the corner of the shelter, her hands clutching at the sides of her head. The sensation doesn't subside. It lingers. Alara, voice trembling, confused. Quax, something's wrong. I don't feel right. Quax immediately notices the change in her voice and stands, his usual calm replaced with concern. His hand reaches out, gently guiding her to sit back down by the fire. His golden eyes scan her face, studying her closely as though searching for an answer in her expression. Quax, softly, with concern. What is it, Alara? What's happening? Alara closes her eyes for a moment, steadying her breath. The dizziness fades, but something else lingers, a deep sense of realization slowly creeping in. She places her hand on her stomach, the realization settling into her chest with both shock and wonder. She looks up at Quax, her voice barely a whisper as the truth dawns on her. Alara, shocked, whispering. Quax. I think I'm pregnant. The words fall from her lips, as if they belong to someone else, to a different life, a different world. Quax stares at her, a look of disbelief crossing his face. For a moment, neither of them speaks. The crackling fire fills the silence, its flames casting dancing shadows on their faces. Then, slowly, Quax moves toward her, his golden eyes wide, searching her face for some sign of clarity. He kneels beside her, his gaze soft and filled with awe, as if he's witnessing something both extraordinary and impossible. Quax, in awe, his voice reverent, we've created life, Alara. A child between our worlds. The weight of his words settles around them, and for the first time in what feels like forever, the desolate planet outside their shelter fades away. All that matters now is this moment, this revelation, and the strange, beautiful truth of what they have just discovered. Alara looks down at her stomach, her fingers lightly grazing the fabric of her uniform. She feels a strange warmth, a protective instinct that she never expected to feel. It's both terrifying and wondrous at the same time. A child. A life that exists because of them, because of the bond they've forged in the midst of this alien world. Alara, whispering, her voice thick with emotion, I never thought. I never imagined we would be here, like this. Quax's hand gently rests on hers, his touch reassuring and tender. His gaze never wavers from hers, his golden eyes filled with something deep, something that transcends the boundaries of their species, of their worlds. Quax, this child, Alara. It is a symbol of our unity, our connection. It is not just life, it is hope. A hope for a future beyond this world, beyond this planet. Alara's eyes fill with unshed tears as the full weight of their situation and the profound beauty of their bond crashes over her. There's fear, yes, fear of what the future may hold, of the unknowns that lie ahead. But there is also something else, something that fills her with a quiet sense of purpose, a reason to continue, to keep fighting for survival. For this child. For Quax. Alara, nodding softly, a tear slipping down her cheek. We will find a way, Quax. Together. We'll find a way. The journey across Alpha 97 has been long and harrowing. The planet's desolate expanse continues to stretch before them, an endless sea of barren rocks and harsh winds. But amid the broken landscape, something new beckons. Alara and Quax discover a structure unlike anything they have seen before, a relic of a bygone era, half buried in the shifting sands. Its angular shape looms against the violet sky, a dark silhouette against the harsh terrain. The structure, though worn and weathered, hums with a strange energy. Its surface is etched with markings that pulse faintly, glowing with an otherworldly light. The walls of the ancient building are unlike anything from Alara's home or Quax's world. The technology embedded within it pulses like a heartbeat, rhythmic and steady, but foreign, distant. Alara steps closer, the hairs on the back of her neck standing on end as she touches the surface of the structure. A surge of energy ripples beneath her fingertips, the air around them thickening with an electric charge. She glances at Quax, who stands by her side, his golden eyes filled with both awe and curiosity. Alara, focused, determination in her voice. This could be our way out. Let's make it work. Quax steps forward, his mind already racing, scanning the strange machinery that runs deep within the structure. His fingers dance across the surface of the ancient tech, his eyes narrowing in concentration. The air feels heavier here, thick with the weight of unknown knowledge, and as they work together, their bond deepens. The shared task forces them to rely on each other in ways they never have before, connecting, not just through survival, but through a shared purpose. The device begins to flicker to life, faint sparks of light erupting from the hidden panels, and Quax smiles, a rare, quiet joy in his eyes. Quax, inspired, softly we will, Alara. Together. They share a fleeting glance, and in that moment, they know that this technology is more than just a lifeline. It's their future, perhaps the future of both their worlds. Days pass as Alara and Quax work tirelessly to repair and decipher the ancient technology. The structure's inner workings are intricate, complex in ways neither of them could have imagined. But together, they push through, piecing the broken fragments of the device back together, each small success bringing them closer to their goal. Finally, after endless hours of effort, they hear it, a soft, mechanical hum followed by a blinding flash of light. The device activates. A pulse of energy shoots into the sky, a beacon of hope sent out into the void of space. The silence of Alpha 97 seems to hold its breath as the signal reverberates through the cosmos. Alara stands back, her heart pounding, watching as the beacon flickers with life. This is it. The sign they have been waiting for. The message is out there, someone will come for them. Alara, to Quax, quietly, her voice thick with emotion, we did it. We survived. And now, we're bringing new life into the universe. Quax stands beside her, his expression unreadable for a moment, but then his eyes soften. He looks at her, and in his gaze is something more than relief. It is a promise for the future they will share. Quax, our child will be a symbol of our love, a bridge between our worlds. The realization of what they've accomplished, of the new life they've created not just in their child but in their bond, fills the space between them. It is a quiet triumph, one that will echo through their lives for eternity. The days that follow are filled with anxious anticipation. Alara and Quax prepare for the arrival of the rescue ship, their once desolate world now a place that holds the promise of new beginnings. The wind has died down, the skies no longer as dark and threatening. It's as if the planet itself, too, has exhaled, relieved by their success. As the rescue ship finally arrives, breaking through the atmosphere with a steady hum, Alara and Quax stand side by side. The ship is sleek and alien, a perfect blend of human and extraterrestrial design. Its silhouette against the violet sky is a beacon of hope, a symbol of salvation after the endless struggle. The moment feels surreal. For the first time since the crash, Alara feels a sense of peace. The battle to survive, the struggle to adapt, it's all led them here together. Their journey was never just about survival, it was about what they built in the process. It was about love, understanding. And now, it is about the future. Narrator, Alara's voice, soft and reflective in the vastness of space, two souls from different worlds found each other. And together, they created something extraordinary. As the ship hovers above them, Alara and Quax share one last look at the desolate landscape of Alpha 97, knowing that their story, their love, has forever changed the course of their lives. They have found something rare and precious in the depths of the unknown, a connection that transcends the stars. And now, as they prepare to leave, they carry with them the promise of a new world, a new life, and a future built on hope. With one final glance at each other, they step toward the ship, ready to face whatever lies ahead. together. That's it for today's journey. From the crash landing to the discovery of ancient technology, Alara and Quax's fight for survival has brought them closer in ways neither could have predicted. Together, they've found not just hope, but a future one that bridges the gap between two worlds and offers a new life in the stars. What do you think their next steps will be? Will their love survive the unknown? We want to hear your thoughts. Drop a comment below and let us know how you think their story will unfold next. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more sci-fi thrillers and alien adventures. The Odyssey, a colossal spaceship designed with cutting-edge technology, hums as it glides through the black expanse of space. Its sleek, silver body reflects the distant stars, a testament to the harmonious alliance between multiple species. Captain Alara Ward, calm and composed, stands at the helm, her eyes scanning the vast, unknown void before her. Her crew, a diverse mix of humans and aliens, work in unison around her, the air inside the ship filled with a steady hum of machinery and the soft chatter of team members. Among the crew is Quax, a being from the distant planet Dren. His tall, slender form, with smooth green skin and deep golden eyes, stands in stark contrast to the human crew. His serene demeanor and methodical approach to navigation make him an invaluable member of the team. As the ship sails through the endless stretches of space, their mission is clear: explore the unknown and foster alliances with distant civilizations. But despite their advanced technology and seamless teamwork, something stirs within the ship's core, a subtle flicker, a vibration that Alara feels deep in her bones. Suddenly, the peaceful journey turns into chaos. The lights flicker, and the hum of the engines grows erratic. The sound of alarms blares through the ship's corridors, vibrating the very air. The calm, organized environment dissolves into a frenzy. Alara's voice rings out over the intercom, steady but laced with urgency. Alara, over the intercom, all hands on deck. Status report, now. As she moves toward the control room, the ground shakes beneath her feet. Sparks fly from the panels, and a loud, metallic screech fills the air. Quax, already at the navigation console, is frantically tapping at the controls, his golden eyes wide with concentration. Quax, focused. We're losing power, Captain. The systems are failing, heading toward a gravitational pull. Before he can finish, the ship lurches violently, sending Alara tumbling against the metal walls. The Odyssey is being sucked into the orbit of an unknown planet Alpha 97. The Odyssey, once a marvel of engineering, is now spiraling out of control. The ship's hull groans as it tears through the atmosphere, a high-pitched scream of metal ringing in the air. The exterior of the ship buckles and cracks, while fire and debris ignite in a terrifying cascade. Alara grips the control panel with white-knuckled hands, but it's useless. The planet below is pulling them in, faster and faster. Alara, shouting, brace for impact. We're going down. The final moments are a blur of violence and noise, the deafening roar of the ship's descent and the sharp, biting cold as they break through the atmosphere. Metal twists, and the sound of tearing steel fills the air. Then, with a final catastrophic crash, the Odyssey slams into the barren landscape of Alpha 97. The world outside the ship turns to blackness. Alara stirs. Her body aches with sharp pain, her vision blurred and dizzy. Slowly, her senses return, and she blinks against the smoke-filled air, the acrid scent of burning metal stinging her nostrils. The ship's once pristine interior is now a twisted wreckage of steel and broken glass. The walls, torn apart, expose the cold vacuum of space. The soft hum of the engines is gone, replaced by the eerie silence of destruction. Alara, groggy, whispering, "Is anyone alive?" She struggles to sit up, her head spinning, the weight of the situation settling in. The crew members who had once filled the ship's corridors are nowhere to be seen. The cockpit, once the heart of the Odyssey, is now a shattered mess. Alara, panic, Quax. Quax. She stumbles forward, wincing at the pain in her leg. Her breath is shallow, anxiety rising in her chest. The ship is down. The mission is a failure. Her crew, her family is gone. But there is one person she knows she must find. And then, through the smoke and the rubble, a figure emerges. It's Quax. His green skin is scratched, and his clothing is torn, but his golden eyes still gleam with quiet determination. Alara, relieved, Quax. You're alive. Quax, calmly, though clearly injured, I am functional, Captain. Though our situation is far from ideal. They look around them at the wreckage of the Odyssey, their former vessel now a broken shell of its former self, scattered across the desolate surface of Alpha 97. The landscape around them is bare, no signs of life, just stretches of rocky terrain under a bruised, violet sky. The only sounds are the crackling of distant fires and the echo of their own voices in the empty space. Alara's heart sinks as she scans the horizon. There is no sign of the rest of the crew. She turns to Quax, a knot of fear twisting in her stomach. Alara, desperate, trembling, what do we do now? How do we survive this? Quax, assessing the situation, we gather what we can. We find shelter, resources. It is all we can do. Alara nods, trying to steady her breath, the magnitude of their isolation settling over her. They are stranded on a foreign world, no way to communicate with Earth or any other civilization. Just the two of them, alone, on a planet no one knows about. And as they begin to sift through the wreckage, Alara can't shake the feeling that they are not just surviving, they are being watched. The vast emptiness of Alpha 97 stretches before them, silent and indifferent. But somewhere in that silence, something is stirring. Something that may change everything. The air is thick with the acrid scent of burning metal, a persistent reminder of the Odyssey's violent crash. Alara's boots crunch against the rocky terrain as she stumbles over the wreckage, her heart racing with urgency. Her mind is spinning with 1,000 thoughts: how to survive, how to contact Earth, how to find the others, but she pushes them all aside, focusing on what's immediately before her, the wreckage of the ship. Alara, shouting over the chaos of metal and debris, Quax, we need to find something useful, fast. We can't sit here waiting for a miracle. Beside her, Quax remains calm, his golden eyes scanning the wreckage with a methodical precision. His movements are slow and deliberate, as though he has already calculated every step he needs to take. His fingers trace the shattered remains of the Odyssey's control panel, dispassionately assessing the damage. Quax, without looking up, survival requires more than will. We must be methodical. Rushing will only waste energy. Alara's frustration bubbles to the surface as she watches him move so slowly, so carefully. To her, it feels like they are wasting precious time. Every minute they waste here could mean the difference between life and death. Alara, stubbornly, voice firm, I agree, but we also need action. We can't wait around. We need to start moving, start planning. Now. Her voice sharpens with authority, but Quax doesn't flinch. He simply nods, his attention still focused on the wreckage around them. Quax, calmly, action without strategy is chaos. We will work together, but we must first understand the landscape of this world. Alara bites back a retort, her fingers tightening around a broken piece of metal she's picked up from the ground. There's tension in the air, but both know they must find common ground. The sun dips below the horizon, casting the planet's surface in a cold, violet hue. The wind picks up, howling across the barren landscape, carrying with it the promise of a brutal night. The temperature plunges rapidly, sending chills through Alara's bones despite the thick fabric of her uniform. She pulls her jacket tighter around her, her breath turning to mist in the air. In the twilight of the alien world, Alara and Quax work together, side by side. The atmosphere is heavy with unspoken words, the awkward tension between them only broken by the sound of their work. Quax's approach is deliberate, every movement calculated as he arranges salvaged materials into a makeshift shelter. Alara, on the other hand, acts with urgency, grabbing whatever she can to speed up the process. The structure they build is crude, but it's functional just enough to shield them from the biting wind and the cold that is quickly settling into their bones. Alara, looking at the shelter, her voice quieter than before, it's not much, but it'll have to do for tonight. We'll need to reinforce it tomorrow. She steps back, wiping her forehead, her exhaustion now becoming apparent. Her mind races, but as she looks around the desolate landscape, she feels a creeping unease and isolation that seems to stretch into infinity. She can feel the weight of the planet's silence pressing against her chest. As they sit down by the shelter, a strange stillness fills the air. The planet seems to exhale a deep, almost mournful sigh. The wind dies down, and for a brief moment, the world is utterly silent. In the silence, Alara decides to break the quiet, her voice low and thoughtful. Alara, after a pause, glancing at Quax on Earth, we fight wars, face disasters, and still, somehow, there's beauty in our resilience. What about your world, Quax? Quax's golden eyes shift toward her, his face unreadable as he contemplates her question. He seems lost in thought, his gaze distant, as though trying to reconcile the world he once knew with the harshness of their current reality. Quax, his voice soft, yet steady, Dren is a world of harmony, where knowledge and art are cherished above all. We value balance between intellect and emotion, between technology and nature. But we are not without our struggles, Captain. Our peace is fragile. It takes constant effort to maintain. Alara listens intently, her curiosity piqued by his words. The mention of harmony and balance resonates with her in a way she didn't expect. Despite their differences, she senses something shared between them, a common understanding of what it means to survive, to endure. Alara, gently, a slight smile forming on her lips, sounds peaceful, Quax. But I can tell that peace doesn't come easy, no matter where you're from. Quax offers a faint nod, his gaze returning to the stars above them. The night sky is filled with unfamiliar constellations, their cold light shimmering down on the planet below. The vastness of it all feels overwhelming, yet in this moment, with Quax beside her, Alara doesn't feel as alone. Quax, after a moment of silence, peace requires understanding. But understanding takes time we do not have. The words linger in the air between them, heavy with unspoken meaning. Alara knows he's right. They don't have the luxury of time. They need to survive, and perhaps, in doing so, they can learn more about each other than either expected. The night grows colder, and the planet's harsh winds begin to howl once again, rattling their makeshift shelter. Inside, Alara and Quax sit close together, their bodies sharing warmth against the biting cold. The shelter, though small, feels like the only safe space on the planet, a fragile haven in the midst of a terrifying unknown. Alara, pulling her knees to her chest, speaking quietly, I never thought I'd end up like this. Stuck on some unknown planet, no communication, no backup. Just us. Quax looks at her, his golden eyes softening. He speaks without the usual reserve, his voice carrying an understanding that Alara can't quite explain. Quax, sometimes, survival is all we can do. And in that survival, we find the strength to keep going. Together. Alara nods, the weight of his words sinking in. She had been trained for missions, for challenges, but nothing prepared her for this, being stranded on a barren world with an alien, unsure of what lies ahead. But for the first time since the crash, she feels a flicker of something that could be hope. With Quax, she's not entirely alone. The silence between them now feels less heavy, less awkward. It's not a perfect partnership, but in this moment, it's enough. The strange alien world outside continues its eerie silence, as the stars above seem to watch over them, distant yet omnipresent. And in the quiet, they find something more precious than survival, a bond forged in the fire of uncertainty.